Megan's behind us.
He still counts when he's mayor pro tem.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, he still has a vote, right?
Yes.
so we know that.
Oh, Megan.
But this might be, I think definitely if there's only 8 of us, we might on that one. I'm not worried about that.
Three is not.
What are you doing?
All right, if we can call this meeting to order, please. Tina's trying to move her position real quick.
It's a coup.
Have the secret. Just put me beside Rob. Thank you.
All right, we've got everybody seated now. Do we have anybody from the Ministerial Alliance? Chuck, would you mind to come up and kick us off here, please?
Come on up.
Let's pray. Our gracious God, we thank you for this day, and we're grateful that our Lord Jesus, though he is rich, yet for our sakes became poor, so that in his poverty we might become rich. Father, riches of your grace, riches of your mercy, riches of your wisdom, of your direction, and certainly the blessings of prosperity, God, that we have known in America. We praise you and thank you for this city council and our city. We're so blessed. God, today we pray that you'd guide and order the steps of these men and women. And Father, we'll give you thanks in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Pastor, very much. Megan, would you mind to?
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, good evening. I am not feeling great tonight, and as you see, Nathan and John trying to get as far away from me as they can. I don't blame them at all. So we got a lighthouse tonight, but we got some nice things to get done. So first thing on here is our consent agenda. Does anybody have any questions on past agendas? If not, can we get a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Sherburne will second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. We've also got the reports for the mayor, the council reports, the board and commission, and city department reports. Any questions on any of those?
I think I just want to point out on the number C, 2C, the police department reports, we
Yeah.
were down quite significant from the previous year in crime, and I just wanted to point that out on page 2C3. Just wanted to point it out.
Good numbers to see. That's awesome
Yep.
to see that going down.
It is. Thank you, Chief.
Okay, if we have nothing else, can we have a motion to approve those reports?
We don't need it.
Oh, don't need it. All right, we'll go on from there, sorry. Public hearings, we have nothing. Acknowledgements and special presentations, we have nothing. Old business. Darren?
So at the last meeting, council ordered the bid for project 593 to corrective asphalt materials. Tonight we'll be asking for the final reading, authorizing the mayor to enter the contract with corrective asphalt materials for $25,067.05. In your packet is a map showing what roads we'd be using the sealer on. Is there any questions?
Darren, I think you did a great job with that when you threw it out at us the last time. If there's no questions, can we get a motion?
Read it.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute a certain agreement between the city of Rolla, Missouri and Corrective Asphalt Materials LLC.
I'll make a motion.
Balch will second.
Motion made in second. Lori, can you do a roll call, please?
Freeman,
Yes.
Penner,
Yes.
Steen,
Yes.
Sherburne,
Yes.
Balch,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Kessinger,
Yes.
Yes.
Roman,
Yes.
9 ayes.
All right, Darren, we got you again.
So at the last meeting, council awarded the bid for project 594 to the low bidder, Visu Sewer of Missouri. So this project is where we take a liner and we install it inside a pipe, and that liner is steam cured, so we're not digging up the sewer lines to fix them. It's a in-place repair. Under streets, it's usually much cheaper than digging it up. We've been doing this type of repairs for over 15 years, so we average about a mile a year. So again, staff is requesting final reading of ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter the contract with Visu Sewer for $292,794.
Any questions for Darren?
Yeah, just a curiosity, you said you do about a year, this says it's a 1.3 miles.
Yeah.
So- No, I wasn't arguing about that, but how, has this project been going on for that 15 years continuously? You said you've been doing this for 15 years, is that?
So we rebid it every year, but
Yeah,
this will be
right.
about the 15th year we've done this project, yes.
So is this something that just continues to cycle through as a maintenance, or is it something that we still have an end goal to get to a certain amount of distance?
So in your pack, right up there on the front page, so we've got 135 miles of sewer. The clay lines are the ones we normally really focus on. Those are the oldest
Right.
lines. So we've still got about 46 miles of that to do.
That's
so,
what I was,
yeah.
that's what I was asking about.
Yeah.
And I apologize, last year, I asked the same question and I got the same answer, except for
We
it's
have-
probably 47 miles last year,
Yeah,
but anyway.
We have many
But
many miles left.
it's like an old Elvis tune. I like hearing it again and again, so thank you.
Yeah.
I would just add one thing, the in situ farm is who we've used year after year, and we would actually piggyback on the City of Independence's procurement process. But when there was no other vendor that was really doing this, and over the last really 5 or 6 years, we've seen more vendors get in. So the fact that we were able to get 4 bids, you're seeing that price come down compared to what in situ farm, which was really kind of the leader in the industry. So it's nice to see that competition once the copyright.
Yeah, once the patent ran out.
Their patent expired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is Visu Sewer, have we used them before?
We have not, but I did check references. They've done a lot of work for other communities. All the communities said they did a good job.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Darren? Nathan, can you read it?
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute a certain agreement between the city of Rolla, Missouri and Visu Sewer of Missouri LLC.
Move to accept.
Chairman will second.
We got a motion and a second. Lori, can you please do roll call?
Balch,
Yes.
Turbin,
Yes.
Greven,
Yes.
Roman,
Yes.
Kessinger,
Yes.
Penner,
Yes.
Hahn,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
9 ayes.
Mr. Coons, here he comes.
All right. So this is the second reading of the ordinance for rezoning 21 Stevendale Court. Request to rezone from R1 suburban residential to C1 neighborhood commercial.
Tom, can you scoot the mic up a little? Sorry.
All right. This is a property at Highway 72 in Stevendale Court, the property on the map. I'm going to go a little bit fast through the first part, as we talked about this at the last meeting, but it's corner of Stevendale Court and Highway 72. There's an existing house on the property. The property is zoned to R1. The properties along Stevendale Court are R1, but the properties along Highway 72 are C1, neighborhood commercial. So street view on the property in the foreground is a commercial property along 72 that's already zoned commercial. And then in the background, kind of this one over here is the house that we're talking about. Just to summarize, the comprehensive plan does designate this particular property as being appropriate for neighborhood commercial type uses. It is adjacent to commercial zoning and uses along Highway 72. It has frontage on Highway 72, which is a major arterial road. The Planning and Zoning Commission took a look at this and recommended approval with a vote of 3-1. So I did want to go over, just so we're nice and clear, on what we're looking for on a rezoning case. So there has been a lot of discussion about, the applicant has said that what they're planning on doing at this house is remodeling it to be able to use as some sort of restaurant. carry out is kind of what he said, but we say we haven't got any plans or anything like that. But what we should be looking at this from a commercial standpoint. Is this property appropriate for C1 commercial, not is it appropriate for a restaurant in particular? And so when we're going through review criteria for a rezoning, we should be looking at whether it's consistent with the intent of the comprehensive plan. We should look at if there are changed or changing conditions in the neighborhood that would make sense for a property to be rezoned. We should look at the compatibility of the permitted uses in the requested zoning district with that area. And you should also think about if there is a reasonably viable economic use for the property. Does it make more sense for it to be a commercial use or a residential use at this location? And any information you receive at the public hearing. We have, as of today, we did receive some petitions from people in the area for what's called a protest petition. What that is if people can gather notarized signatures for this petition, and if we receive such a petition from the owners of 30% of the property within 185 feet of the subject property, not including the right-of-way, then what that does, it would require, if the city council would choose to approve the rezoning, it requires a supermajority vote, so that's a 2/3 vote. As I said, it was submitted today. We received signed petitions from 9 property owners. 7 of those lots were within that 185 feet. But what that came to is about 29% of the property owners, so not quite the 30%. So at this point, we haven't received enough to require the supermajority. But it is important to know that we did receive, petitions from people in that area that were not in favor of this.
So Tom, it's my understanding, so you're saying 7 petitions were inside the 185 feet?
Yes.
Notarized petitions opposing the rezoning, and then 2 notarized petitions right outside the rezoning?
Yes.
And then you had 2 additional properties within the 185 feet that were opposed, but they did not get a petition in, correct?
That would be fair. The owner of one of the properties, I'll say that this one here, came in and talked to me. He didn't seem to be too in favor. He was concerned about the parking issue because it's the commercial property. Concerned about if there was overflow parking and them parking on his property. So this is a map of that area. There's the red lines that you see. That's where the 185-foot circle is, and then the teal green type color with the blue outline. Those are the properties that are owned by people who areas that are inside the 185 feet that are where the owner signed the petition. Just give you an idea of where they are. Should point out that when you Stevendale Court, when you look at the residential lots on Stevendale Court, got from 9 properties in total. There are 18 total residential properties on Stevendale Court, so that's about half of them. And I don't think that the person who was gathering petitions tried to get anything from people who are a little bit further away. So just to give you an idea of who we have heard from. Anyway, did you have any questions for me?
So I have a question. I did hear that some people in the area did not receive notification, and so that's why these petitions just started Friday. And so from Friday till now, that many people have went and got notarized petitions. I don't think they went outside the 185 feet because, not having that notice. Can you tell me why some of the residents, some of the property owners may have not gotten notification?
I can't tell you anything without knowing who it is who didn't receive anything, but we send letters to people who own property within 300 feet of the subject properties, because that's beyond what the state statutes require, and we send it to only the property owners. So somebody who's, say, renting would not receive one of the letters.
Well, one of the individuals owns four properties in that area. Not within the 185 feet, 2 within the 185 feet, 2 outside. But they did not get any kind of notification. So yeah. I can talk to you afterwards about it.
And I should say we send letters to the addresses that are on file with the Phelps County Assessor's Office. Mm-hmm. So if somebody moves and doesn't update their addresses, and we don't know where to send it to.
But there's nothing like door hung or anything like that on the property. It goes through the, you know.
On individual properties, we do post a sign at the subject property.
Okay.
I did not receive any letters back on
Yeah,
this one.
I did notice when I drove past, just to, get a feel for everything, that sign was knocked down. So I don't know if, can't help that.
So Megan, just so I totally understand, they didn't get the original notice that went out from the city, or they didn't get to participate in the petition?
They didn't get the notice at all.
The original.
They were unaware
Okay,
that it was taking place until Friday.
gotcha.
I'm not calling it into question, but is there any objective evidence of anything that you've just stated?
What are you saying?
Do you have objective evidence that people didn't actually receive the notice, other than people just saying that they didn't receive the notice?
Other than the word of the property owner who said he's received notices on other zoning and just for some reason didn't receive.
And that's what I'm trying to figure out is, all right, are we considering just the,
Oh.
just the,
Am I considering the trustworthiness of the property owner?
is it
Yes,
just,
they're
is it
taking
just the
that.
property owner? So, all right, so for instance, there are property owners who did take out a petition, faithfully so, and we should give due consideration to those who have faithfully followed the process. I have every sense that our city staff followed the process. So if somebody didn't
Right.
receive notification, or somebody coming off of Stevendale Court didn't see a sign in that yard for a month,
That's why I asked the question, Bill, is I asked, what do you think, can happen there? And that has happened in the past where people didn't receive notification. We actually had someone who sat on this council that had 3 properties within a rezoning, and she didn't receive any notification. So it does happen.
Well,
It's,
sorry. I cut you off.
I'm just trying to figure out, at what point do we give consideration to the evidence in front of us to make a decision or not?
yeah, no, I mean, this individual got the petitions in. I'm just saying that it's unfortunate that he wasn't notified sooner.
Okay.
That's all. Just making a.
Well, the reason I asked about door hangers was I've heard a lot of people recently with just general, like, United States Postal Service mail getting really lost right now. So that's a little bit why I asked, is that there's some viability to, like, since the snowstorm, the mail service has been super backed up. So it was a little bit why I was asking it in that way too, is, everyone can follow through with what they're supposed to do, and the right people still don't get it.
And it still
I do think it's very telling that it's 29% instead of 30%. I mean, and conceptually that this has just been since Friday. So, to me, that needs to be a consideration that so quickly there was people that were concerned on it. So it's unfortunate the number's so close, but I suppose that's the number, that's the cutoff, so.
Hey, Tom, just to understand the process, Megan, I think you said they had 4 properties that fit in that circle, so whoever you're talking
The
about.
individual that didn't get.
So Tom, would they get 4 notices?
It
Would they
was-
get 1
it was
notice?
two-
Generally,
They get a
we-
notice for each, right, Tom?
That's what I'm
No,
asking.
what we do is we try to go through the list, and if it's the same property owner, same mailing address, we just send 1 letter.
Okay.
And do you send separate letters if because he has 2 properties within the 185 feet, 2 with that?
It's the same property
outside.
owner and the same
So-
address that it would be going to, it's the same
Then it
letter. Now,
doesn't
if it's,
matter
if
in
they
or
have it
out.
under one LLC and a different name LLC, then they would get 2 letters in that
Gotcha,
case.
okay.
So is the nuance, getting in the weeds here. I mean, it could be important. So a person has 2 properties. Does he get to do 2 signatures? Because that would make the percentage go higher.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He
it's
gets
on-
two,
on
he
this
gets
one, it's-
2,
Yeah.
you
I
get
mean,
to sign the petition twice.
Sure.
Okay.
It's based on the percentage of land within that area.
Okay,
So
gotcha.
if they own multiple properties, they just own more percentage.
Thank you.
Tom, this is an indictment on you. This is a lot of people just trying to learn and understand at the same time. You're doing a great job.
Thank you, Tom.
Tom, do you know how many parking spaces they're planning to put in that yet? Has that been decided?
They haven't submitted any plans, to start with, so it's hard to know what. Right now, I don't know exactly how many will fit. The applicant, he came in, he said he thinks he can fit, I think 6 or 7, I think is what he said. I'm not confident they can get quite that many. I looked at it and I did some measuring, and I can think of a way that you could fit 4. But until they've sit down and draw it out, I don't know.
Would At this time, would 4 be sufficient for the services they're rendering without
We
impeding
can't
other
consider what
property
services they're going to provide. We can only consider whether or not it's appropriate for a C1 or not.
Yeah.
I'm just asking a question.
Yeah, there's that, but also I haven't received a plan, so I don't know how many parking spaces would be required if they were required.
Okay.
And Victoria, based off of, from what I understand, what Thomas said in the past, based off of what his plans are currently with the dining space, he would only be required to have 1 parking space. So there's nothing that we can do at this point. So, you know, you always want to trust the owner, but he says 5, and, you know, it costs more and financial issues. And if it comes down to what he actually is planning on doing, they would only be required to have 1 parking spot.
Yeah, I don't think you were here, so, and they may have said it, so I don't want to pile on here, but, so this is basically just a drive-up. They're not dining inside, so that's why, by rule,
Takeout.
yeah, takeout. So by rule, he would only be required to have 1 parking spot. He's just saying he's gonna have more than that.
I know, it just seems like some of the property owners, their concern is
Sure.
that the parking will overlap into their
Yep.
area.
Yeah.
It was also interesting, Tom, I want to clarify, so the commercial property and the lot number 1 or whatever that is, the insurance business, because I heard it mentioned during planning and zoning, I don't know if it was by you or by the owner, was actually that, I thought that they had said they had talked to them about their employees parking over there. So it's interesting to hear that the commercial business is saying, we're concerned about any of their people parking over here.
It had been suggested to the applicant that they should talk to that property owner
Okay,
about
so
that
he wasn't saying
possibility.
he had.
Right.
Okay, I must have misunderstood at that time, but that insurance company definitely is not okay with that happening based off the conversation you had.
Yeah, it's fair to say.
Thank you.
And they stated today that they had concerns, but did not sign the petition.
Any more discussion or questions for Tom? Nathan?
Tom, that was part of the old,
Oh, there we are.
the old town plan that we did, right?
I don't think so. I think it
It's
was
probably
barely-
just right on the cusp
I think it
hole
was just
then,
on the
where
edge of
it
it. I
probably
think we
ended on
excluded that
Rolla
neighborhood
Street.
there. Right.
Okay.
Nathan? Please.
An ordinance to approve the rezoning of property located at 21 Stevendale Court from the R1 Suburban Residential District to the C1 Neighborhood Commercial District.
Do we have a motion for the final reading?
I move that we do a final reading.
The final reading already occurred, right?
Right, this is the final reading.
This is to approve.
You would make a
To approve this.
Motion to approve.
I just wanted to, sorry, I just wanted to clarify with the.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Lori, would you please do a roll call?
Kessinger,
No.
Steen,
Yes.
Broman,
No.
Turbin,
No.
Balch,
Yes.
Johnson,
No.
Penner,
No.
Han,
Yes.
Greven,
Yes.
4 ayes.
Motion fails. All right, new business. Darren, back to you again.
So staff is requesting reading of resolution to apply for community infrastructure funding for the Delta Regional Authority. The Delta Regional Authority provides funding for communities essentially along the Mississippi River Basin. Rolla is probably the farthest north county that's eligible. We have been successful before. A couple years ago, John applied for and got a grant for $50,000 for the comprehensive plan, correct?
Yep.
So we have been successful, so we're gonna go for a lot bigger project this time. So we're proposing to apply for matching funds for a storm sewer project in the Rolla Street downtown area. It would be approximately from 5th to 11th Street, with the estimated cost of the entire project at $2.5 million. So we'd be requesting $1.25 million from the Delta Regional Authority. That storm sewer in Rolla Street is circa early 1900s. It's a hand-stacked stone arch culvert. It is obviously grossly undersized for today's runoff. In your packet, there is a map showing the limits of the project. The preliminary engineering is done on this project, so if we are approved for funding, we budget for it this coming budget year and build it the next year. So, any questions?
So Darren, all you're really asking for is us to say, go for it, as far as try to get that grant?
Yes.
Yeah.
Does it come back later than it's for the budgetary
Yeah,
approval?
yeah.
Yes.
No, I mean, the next step would be, I'm sure there'd be some sort of funding agreement that would get approved by council, then with the intention of putting in the budget when we're working on budget for next year. So,
But nothing triggers unless we actually get the grant?
correct.
Thank you.
I mean, this is a project we are going to have to tackle at some point.
Sure.
This would definitely help move that project forward.
So what would be the expected lifespan, would you say with that?
So concrete box culverts got a lifespan of 100 years.
Oh, all right.
I mean, the stone stacked arch one made it over 100, so.
Next.
What you're gonna do is a whole lot better than what we already got, and it's been over 100 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how will that impact the residents around, like,
It will be rough during construction, so I mean, our intention would probably be to do one block at a time, try to button up that block as much as we can before we move to the next block. So during the day, Rolla Street will probably, for that block, you will not be able to access anything. Your intention would be, most of the time at night, to get it back open at least one lane.
okay.
But at the end of it, those same people would see what as far as results?
So if we have a significant rain, there are a handful of businesses on Rolla Street that get water in them. Like I said, the existing storm sewer system is just not big enough to handle the runoff that we get today. So that would be the biggest impact, is those businesses no longer get water in them.
We've had video presented to the city over the last several years. I'm going to say every 5 years. And I mean, it's running a foot, 2 foot on Rolla Street. It's a heavy flow by those property owners.
Yeah, I think this is such a great deal. I mean, this needs to be done for sure. So sooner's better than later. So if we can get something.
Don applied for the executive committee for the leadership committee for Delta Regional Authority and was selected for that. So we've got somebody on the committee. So.
All right.
All right. Good job, Don.
Good.
That's awesome, Dawn.
Any more questions for Darren? Can we get a motion to apply?
I'll make a motion to apply for the grant.
Balch will second.
I think this one was Yeah, it requires a resolution.
A resolution authorizing the submittal of an application to the Delta Regional Authority for the 2025 Community Infrastructure Fund Program.
Megan, would you like to?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to apply for the grant.
And Balch will second.
Lori?
Voice vote.
Voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. We have another resolution. Ms. Stephanie.
Good evening. In the packet tonight is the final budget adjustments for fiscal year 2024. According to Chapter 67 of the state statutes, we're required to have the actual expenditures not exceeding the budget expenditures. So in the packet tonight, the revenue change is proposed to be $3,051,900, and the expenditure changes are $2,813,883, with a net change of $238,017. I know there's a lot of detail in there, so I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Stephanie, you might just hit the depreciation issue and Rolla Rural, and that's probably those two.
Loggers and all the OPEBs.
Yeah, it's worth touching on those.
All right. For that, you'll notice that Rolla Rural, when we talked about budget, we budget $10,000 for that because that's the contract that we have. At the end of the year, we have to put those expenditures in there. So if you look at that item, we are putting in the modification of $618,000 worth of revenue, because that's what they've reimbursed the city of Rolla to date for the fiscal year, and then the expenditures of $605,000. So that's why that difference. It's not true money during the budget process, but it is an audit adjustment at the end. Depreciation is the same way. It does not affect your cash position, so we don't budget at the beginning of the year for any depreciation, but it has to be put on the books because of the state statute. As the laws are updated, you'll notice there's some reference to loggers and health insurance liability. That is something that the GASB and GAP have decided that that's important to post in our financials at the end of the year. Again, it's not money that affects your cash position, but it is a liability if something happens. It talks about health insurance, and there's a calculation for loggers and health insurance on that. So those main items are just basically year-end adjustments for accounting purposes only, but not cash purposes during the budget process. Is there any questions on that? I know that's kind of like a lot of accounting jargon there.
Not on that particular one, the recreation expenses of 435, what is that for?
That is for, we had budgeted out of the general fund $250,000 to support the rec center at the end of last fiscal year. We had noticed when we were finishing the calculations that the ARPA money, and I think you guys have discussed it in the workshops that you had, the ARPA money wasn't enough to cover the expenditures or the deficit that the center had. So putting that to $650,000, adding that additional money, made the rec center flush zero at the beginning of this fiscal year to move forward with the actuals as we go. It was discussed in a couple of the workshops that were there, but that is the final number to make that fund zero.
The 435,000 is?
The 435,000 is the adjustment. If you look on the, yes, if you look on the next page, that's the difference of that, yes. So when you see the financials during the audit, it will be zero.
I would add, in the budget that we approved for fiscal year 2025, we estimate what 2024 would be, and in there, we had estimated that we were gonna have expenses of $916,322, and you would see that into 2025 budget. We ended up with a $922,000 expense, so, what is that? 7,000 more in expenses than what we had discussed with council as an estimate for 2024, heading into 2025. So I know that sounds like big numbers, and they are big numbers, bigger than what we had, but in what we estimated in heading into 2025 from 2024. I don't know if that makes any, probably don't make it any clearer, but.
Well, I think what I was trying to look at, because there was the general fund transfer to the center for 625, and then the recreation expenses for 435. I was trying to think if those two together was what had to be transferred into the center to break even. Is that, or am I missing that?
You're missing for the balance that was in fiscal year 23.
Okay.
So the difference, you have the numbers correct for 24, but there was a deficit in 23 that we carried forward because council had only discussed the ARPA transfers, not the general fund transfers. So the difference is the deficit moving forward into 24 that we made flush during the budget process.
And that makes sense. And what was that number one more time from 23 to 24?
227,000 or something like
It was
that.
220 something.
I just wanted a rough idea of how much was being carried from 23 to 24. It's around 227,000 of this conversation here.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Any more questions for Stephanie?
On the animal control, I was just kind of looking at, it's on page 1 of 2, or it's page 7A3, I guess would be a way of looking at that. So the budget balance on the animal control was 244,000. Was that what they had remaining left in their budget at the end of the year?
Yes, last year, for fiscal year 24, we were only able to spend the $150,000 for ARPA money. We had also set aside $150,000 to be spent out of animal control. That had not taken place, so that is a carryover that we placed in the 25 budget. But when we did that, that amount, $150,000 of that $245,000 was just for the animal shelter. That was not able to be spent or the construction be completed.
And are you saying that will carry over into 25 then?
It already has, yes.
It already has been,
Yes.
okay. That's what, because I knew they've been trying to finish this project. I'm like, okay, they're sitting on $250,000 that they couldn't find a place to spend this for, but they're just rolling it to next year.
Yes.
Thank you. Similar question maybe on page 7A4, if I made my note here correctly. Under street fund, it said that there was 30% of the budget remaining. did they underspend on street fund that much, or was that some sort of carryover also?
That will be carryover also.
Okay.
When street projects are budgeted, we are, again, guesstimating what they will be able to complete based on weather, contracts, and all that. There were some projects in there that was not able to complete. I think Pine Street was one of them that we had placed in there to spend down some MoDOT money and some Pine Street money. That was not spent in, so that was budgeted, carried forward this year as well for '25.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Nathan, you got anything else? You good?
The best that my little mind can
Yeah,
understand
you're
all
doing,
those
you're
numbers,
doing,
yes.
that's a good question. That's a good question. Nobody has anything else? Can we have a resolution? Do we have a resolution?
We do. A resolution authorizing the budget, start again. A resolution authorizing budget adjustments for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2023, and appropriating funds pursuant thereto.
Do we have a motion to accept the resolution?
I'll make a motion to accept the resolution.
I'll second.
Just a voice vote.
All right, same thing on this one, just a voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. All right, citizen communication. Do we have anybody out there that would like to speak to the city council? Mr. Dukes.
So, David, I think you, well,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead, man. You want to go?
Mine'll be short and sweet.
I'm sorry, I just saw David. I didn't see you stand up.
My name is Debbie Dalton. I drive a bus for the city, for Rolla Public Schools. We have a major problem. There's a sidewalk between junior high and Mark Twain. Excuse my voice, I have a crappy voice. And I have pictures. Our kids could not walk down that sidewalk because there was so much ice and snow. And I've got pictures that the ice and snow was still in that one section on the 24th. The sidewalk is probably just a little bit wider than this for the kids to walk on.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to be widened. There's more bushes. I get mad too. I protect these kids. We have to watch parents bringing kids to school. We fight with them. We have kids that when they walk, they're right here. There's your sidewalk, there's your street.
Yeah. Is it on Salem Ave? Where
So
it?
it's-
This is
Is
on
it-
Soast.
it's right
Okay.
there at the, is it right there where, so like if you, you pass the middle school and you're turning into,
Okay.
Yes.
into the Mark Twain?
That
Got it.
one
Hill.
section
that
is
hill. Okay.
So
awful.
right there at the stop sign. That's
Well,
where-
it's where you pull in to the middle school,
Mm-hmm.
where the teachers and stuff are
Gotcha.
supposed to
Yep.
pull in.
I know
It's
where
right
you are.
across from there.
It's at the
There,
crosswalk along.
all the
Coast.
way up to the Mark Twain driveway.
Okay.
Somebody actually shoveled part of it, and it was not. Anyway, they shoveled part of it because our crossing guards and our kids were slipping and sliding into the road. The traffic down through there is horrible because now we have kids can't walk and parents take them to school every day and pick them up. These kids need to be protected. They need to be first taken care of. Our crossing guards need to be taken care of. We have to get in the center lane sometimes in that section to keep these kids from being killed. Because one slip under that bus, they're gone. And they should be high priority in this town.
Yeah.
We have, I know, I'll invite any of you to walk down the sidewalk with me. Finally, the snow's gone. And we'll walk side by side. And we'll see, we have kids our size walking that section. And I don't understand. It's beyond me why that couldn't have been cleaned and why that section can't be made bigger. We've got great big old sidewalks that you can drive cars up and down here in this town that nobody walks on. We have kids every day up and down those sidewalks, those little sidewalks. On the other side, by the middle school, they have grass they can walk into if they have to. This side you can't, especially in that one section, because it's so grown up with bushes. And it's this wide, it's literally tiny. And I don't know what the solution is. We need a wider sidewalk. We need that cleaned out, taken care of for our kids that have to go up and down through there. This section, even up till the 24th, and I've got pictures, was still, because no sun could get to it, nothing was done. And I couldn't bring the pictures because they had kids in it. But on the 24th, we had 2 kids walk down that sidewalk, and one of them almost hit the street because he slid. And this should be our priorities. Our kids are our priorities, and it needs to be addressed. Another thing, we have this morning and afternoon, we have this flashing lights that come up and say 20 miles an hour. Or right there by Mark Twain, we have one of the radars that says 30 miles an hour. So people are going 30, even though you're supposed to be doing 20. So that either needs to be adjusted or taken away. I don't know why our kids aren't our priorities anymore. You know, they're just, and they're kids. We worry about bigger sidewalks for people to walk down or drive a car down, but we're not worried about this section. And I just think something needs to be done.
Debbie, thank you. Thanks for bringing that up.
John, I have a question.
Pointing it out.
Do we know who owns that property?
Yes, Dr. Stecker owns part of it.
Okay.
And then the other one is, I can't.
Because it's the responsibility of the property owner to remove the snow.
Well, that's what I was going to ask John. So it's the property owner's responsibility to keep the sidewalks clean and free of debris, and to keep the the brush from overhanging and whatnot. But can we maintain the sidewalk?
Yeah, I mean, state statutes allow cities to declare the adjacent property responsible, but the city could choose to retain that on their own. I don't know how we would ever keep sidewalks free of snow and ice. But
Yeah, well, where I'm going with it is she's not wrong, because I live right there around the corner, right off Salem Avenue, and I see that all the time. I brought it up before, and even if it's only that section that, poses an issue, big issue for the kids, considering that we have 3 schools within that area, maybe the city can, us as a council can decide that the city take care of that sidewalk, that stretch on Soest Road, and clearing the brush.
It's not that big of a section.
yeah, I mean, my first thought is, quite frankly, I do like the idea of wider sidewalks there.
That's what I
Because
like.
sidewalks currently only go to the edge of the right-of-way.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's likely we can widen further in without getting adjacent properties. Quite frankly, Soest is an over-wide street without a lot of on-street parking. It could be that with a grant, and we do find lots of grant opportunities, particularly if it has safe routes to schools, where we possibly pull curbs in a little bit and widen the sidewalks that way. But none of that's going to happen quickly. That's a
Right.
big expense, and it takes some cycles to get through that. But most snows, and we all know this, right? We've been living in Missouri forever. Most snows, we get it for a day or two and it's gone. This was a really unusual one, and it seemed like once it began to melt, it froze that night, and so there are areas that stayed ice-covered for weeks, including
This
much of our
section
trail
gets
system.
no sun.
Yeah, there's no
Yeah,
sand.
right.
The other sections were cleared by the sun.
Right.
This one was still thick, and I've got pictures on my phone to show
No,
you.
we've got
On
lots
the
of trails
24th.
that show that same thing, so that
You know, and it's not like it's 50 miles or uptown or whatever. This is our kids. We can't figure out how to fix that. We can't figure out how to take care of it. And it's that one little section that stays like that, even after snow. It's not necessarily this last storm we had. It's every snow we get. It's been,
But
I've
that's-
driven a bus for a few years.
But that's what I'm asking, John, is just the sidewalk. You know, if it needs to be shoveled and salt put down on it by the city, and you're only talking 3/4 of a mile on, you know, and prefer, if we're gonna do one side, might as well do the other, but I mean, is that something that we can do? It's just.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, council can always accept portions of responsibility. There's risks in doing that, because once you commit to doing it, you have to do it all the way.
Correct.
There's no part way doing it, so.
Correct.
Yeah, we can look at it. I don't think this is the only area that we would be concerned over. I think you could find lots of areas where children walk, where ice on the sidewalks is a problem. So I think maybe we'll take some time and look and see other areas, because I think if we started looking citywide, we're gonna find more than just a 1/4 mile on Soest.
Right.
So I had a question, Darren. Sorry to put you on the spot, but is there any plans of widening any of the sidewalks over there? Because I know Truman has started to get, the wider sidewalks, and I just wonder where
I
it's
mean,
at on that.
plans, no, so I think Matthias had brought this one to my attention a while back, and we looked into it, and just like John said, we're right up against right-of-way, so, to widen it, we'd either be, buying private property or narrowing the street, so, neither one seems to be very popular.
Yeah.
So, no, we don't have any plans, but I mean, we're always looking, anytime we get grant money, we're looking around schools.
Well, I
So,
know,
yeah.
Darren works really hard to try to get sidewalks widened. I mean, you have a huge list of, areas that you're working on, so I was just curious if that was one of those areas.
And this is our kids. This isn't just Joe Blow walking up down the street.
Thank you, Darren.
I'm assuming, have we looked into like tree overhang, like if anything needs to be cut?
No,
down?
they've been keeping those cut
Yeah.
back.
It's just that it's just a shaded
Shady-
spot
shady
there.
road.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we can talk with the schools too, and we'll just have to look into it.
So this is something that I was actually going to bring up during council comments, because the director and assistant director of the bus barn have approached me and asked me to talk about this, specifically to the fact that when the city was plowing the snow originally, there was a whole lot of snow piled up directly on the crosswalks that are actively governed by crossing guards, and the crossing guards almost couldn't do their job because the pile of plowed snow in the crosswalk and partially on the sidewalk was in the way. And the director and assistant director of the bus barn actually had to go there and shovel off the snow that was left there by the plow. I had to drive over it every time I went on Soest Road, because I'm a bus driver as well. And it started out as like a 3-foot pile that we had to drive around into oncoming traffic lanes just to get onto Soest from Forum. So it's a little bit more than just existing snow. It's also plow piles that really need to be cleaned up by the city.
So has, just out of curiosity, has anybody spoke with the school administration to see what they are willing to do, or?
Not that I know of, but they don't
Right,
own
but
the roads.
to
They-
protect their employees and the students. who-
That's
But we
why
can
I was
we can-
approached by the
Yeah.
Yeah.
director and assistant director, because this needs to be taken care of.
Yeah,
I just
and we
wondered
can
if
certainly
you
go
spoke to
back
them or not.
and, once we stay on snow routes, right? That's our priority, and that can last days. But when we get past that, if we have to go back on certain areas and remove snow, we can do that.
Right.
So, to be honest, I've never heard that on that area there. I personally never heard it. Doesn't mean Public Works or something else doesn't hurt. So we'll just have to talk with the school, we'll have to look at it. If it's a matter of us going back in on certain areas of crosswalks to remove snow, we can do that. So that's all I can say at this point. I don't think we don't have a plan for you beyond that.
That's fine. I just want it brought to your attention. And like I said, come and walk with me down that sidewalk. Come and see how much room these babies have got to walk down to be safe from the traffic between these schools. I'll walk with you.
Thank you.
Thank
for
you.
Thank you,
your
Debbie.
feedback.
Thank you.
It's definitely going to have discussion going now, so that's good. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Well, I appreciate it. Just remember our kids. Because there's too much going out to other stuff.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank
your
you.
time.
Thank you.
How's everybody doing?
How are you?
Good, great, huh? So, yeah, like Debbie said, we had a lot of snow last time, huh? Okay, so January 11th, the last 3 meetings, I really couldn't get a word in, so I just waited my time out. January 11th, my daughter's car got stolen from the lot just next door over here. I don't know if that's the RMU lot or whatever you call it. It's behind Alex's and RMU and stuff. So, and thankfully the police officers, they tracked the car down. They did an amazing job. We got some good law enforcement officers. A few of the detectives even reached out to me. Awesome guys. I love them to death. They're awesome. We got some good law enforcement here. Is Chief hearing me that? Yeah. Okay. So, I just want to tell you that because I truly do support the law enforcement. I think we should support them a lot more than what they get. So, with that, so I just reached out to a few of the members of the community that I deal with, drug addicts, homeless people, stuff like that. And I found the guy, tracked him down to Motel 6. I reached out to him. I said, hey, I just want my daughter's keys back. Yeah, my daughter left her keys in the car. Shame on her. She'll never remember. She learned a lesson, right? So we didn't get the keys back. We had to get the car towed, so on and so forth. And I tracked the guy down. I got to talk to him. I said, hey, so do you need some help, buddy? You need anything, I'll help you. I'll try to get you to a program, whatever. He said, no, I just want to go to jail. So I took him over to Phelps County Jail. We waited on Detective Switzer, Shane, isn't his name Switzer? Schweitzer, thank you. And we got him turned into the county jail there. It was a great night. Got to give him a hug. I prayed for him. And he's still in there. Hopefully he'll reach out and get to a drug program. He was a little high that night. Forgot where he threw the keys, so we're waiting on getting a copy of the keys. With that being said, and the thing that Debbie talked about, the snow. So that same day that I got this young man to turn himself into the jail, I guess my neighbors called and said my trailer was parked on the city street too long because it was snowed in. So every Friday night I take the clothing trailer up to the Eugene Hall and I give clothes out to the needy. There was even a fire on Becca Drive a few doors up. We clothed the whole family. So that trailer, I make no profit with that trailer whatsoever. It is for needy people. So 2 uniformed police officers showed up at my house, knocked on the door and said, your trailer is out in the city streets, it's illegal. And of course, yes, I understand. It's an ordinance, and the officers are just doing their job. But the thing is, can you imagine somebody calling 911 and saying, there's a trailer on the street, can you send some officers over here to help? Are you serious? And we're complaining about the crime in this town, and then our neighbors are calling about some stupid crap, wasting the officers' time, right? Does that make sense to anybody else? The same day I catch a car thief and take him to jail. Irony? ex-drug addict, ex-felon, catching car thieves, while the neighbors are wasting officers' time. Like, why don't we have an ordinance that says if you call 911 over some stupid stuff, they go to jail? Let's be honest here. Everybody complains about the crime in town, but then we call 911 over stupid stuff. And why do we have a ordinance for trailers on a city street? And that same day, because I was out looking for a car thief, I counted 8 trailers in one area. 8 trailers. Guess what? They were snowed in. Are those trailers illegal? They didn't have no tickets. There's some construction trailers, yes. They were parked in the same spot because there was no snow underneath.
Yeah.
And
I'll
there's
say
snow
that
on top.
That same issue has happened a lot to people
So-
in my area.
Let's do something. Let's be a little bit more proactive, maybe towards, let's say, drug traffickers, maybe? Fentanyl. I just went and visited a young lady in the hospital, and she just OD'd Friday. She's still unresponsive. She says she can't even open her mouth all the way to eat. We have a problem here, and we're too focused on these stupid ordinances. Oh, my neighbor's grass is too tall. Oh, there's a trailer on this street that got snowed in. Are you serious here? Isn't there real problems? I mean, we talk about all the time, the homeless, right? The people, sorry, I might have got off track. I'm probably past my 3 minutes, huh, John?
Yes, sir, you are.
Well, Debbie got like 20
Ridley's
minutes.
not here, so, Ridley's not here, you got an
Come on
extra
now.
minute.
I think that was about it there. Yeah, like I said, there was a Rolla City dumpster that's been parked there for definitely a year, because I remember the first time I got a ticket on my trailer, I put a ticket on that dumpster, and it's still sitting there. I made a copy of the tickets that I got and put it on that trailer.
And we're just letting you roll.
Yeah, it's awesome. So seriously, let's think about, can I propose an ordinance for people that call 911 over stupid crap, that they should go to jail?
There'd be a lot of people in jail.
Huh?
There'd be a lot of people in jail.
And they'll learn their lesson. I mean, somebody could have just come to my door and knocked on it and said, "Hey, David, can you move your trailer?" Or, did the QR code and said, "Hey, call me. Can you move your trailer?" "Yeah, I will, as soon as the ice and snow gets melted away," I couldn't even take the trailer to the next Friday night thing because it was snowed in. I had to leave it there on the street. I'm sorry. I apologize. I know I'm a horrible monster of a person. Probably one of those old dirty weed snorters or whatever, right? Well, that's all I got. I love you guys. You guys are awesome. Follow Jesus. Keep Jesus in your heart and follow your footsteps, right? Okay.
Thank you, Dave.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
Anybody else on citizen communication? If not, mayor and city council comments. Councilman Penner.
Based on the feedback that I've gotten from council members after pushing out this ordinance, I'd like to withdraw it for more consideration by myself.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Yeah, I have one thing I'd like to raise, and it kind of goes to Dave's point. So it kind of sucks that you would have to go out and, and find this car thief yourself. And it's nothing against the police department, but Chief, would flop cameras or some kind of license plate reader system have made it easier to have found that car and tracked it down?
Yes.
Would, if a child was abducted and there was an Amber Alert for them, would flock cameras make it easier to find that car and track it down? As organized crime moves through our area, would flock cameras make it easier to identify when they come into our area so we can stop them before they do some stupid stuff?
You sound like a champion for flock cameras.
We do have
I just don't
we do have
understand.
flock cameras in the area. We don't have probably what we need.
So what would it take to put a system in place? How much would it cost? Where would you recommend stuff like that go?
The costs are covered by,
Chief, you might start to explain what a flock camera is. I'm not sure.
a flock camera is a camera that, if I were to enter something into the computer system for flock, it would pick up anywhere that vehicle went. Flock cameras take a picture of a license plate after it goes past. They take a picture of the back of the vehicle. They don't take pictures of any of the occupants or anything like that. Say, for instance, that car was stolen. We would have put that information into the flock system, and had it drove past where a flock camera was, we would have immediately got notified. Not only in Rolla, but flock cameras are all over the United States. And there was a child abduction in Tennessee. They found the kid up in Wisconsin because the car happened to drive past the flock camera. It's a great system, and the way it works is usually they're $3,000 per camera per year. But the way the flock camera systems work is businesses pay for that. For instance, Walmart said that they would put a flock camera going each direction on 63. Lowe's already has one in their parking lot, and they've agreed to put some up on 63 going both directions. I think AT&T said they would like to put one there at 72 and 63. The county already has them. Every one of our entrances coming into the city of Rolla are covered by a flock camera with the county, and we have access to those. We've used them already several times. It's an amazing system. If you got a license plate, you can track that person. As a matter of fact, we were looking for somebody who was supposed to have a large amount of narcotics, a female. She wasn't at her house, so they put her license plate into the flock system, and we were told she was in Eureka heading west on 44. And pretty much every intersection at 44 has a flock camera on it, every bridge, or at least every other bridge. And we were able to track her as she was coming up 44 until she got in Rolla. We stopped her. Wasn't the same person, but she was using her car and a lot of dope in the car, and we were able to get the dope and arrest them. And that was all because of flock cameras. So it's great, a fantastic tool. It, a lot of people are saying, well, you're tracking people. You're keeping license plates in your computer system. Yes, it takes a picture of every license plate, but unless I put a query in there asking about that specific plate, after 30 days, it's gone. It's no longer in the system. It can also, if, for instance, we have a child abducted and the person that abducted them was in a black Blazer with a luggage rack, we can put that in the computer, and every one of those that go past the flock camera, we will get a hit on our computer systems. And when I'm talking about the computer systems, I'm saying the computers in our office, but also the computers we have in our cars. It comes up as a hit in that computer. So it's a great system. We've had Flock coming out here and talk to us about it. It's just we have to wait until, I don't want to get myself in trouble here, but it has to be approved before we can get that system out here. Now, one thing the sheriff did tell me is he just got a grant to put 10 more flock cameras in, and he said that he asked me the locations where I wanted them in Rolla. And
I'm going to stop you because I don't think we want to reveal all of them.
Oh, I'm not giving locations, trust me. But
you've already said more than I would.
Did you recently have a presentation? I thought I heard something like that there was recently a presentation on the flock.
Yes.
About 2 weeks ago, I think.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
I know, just from going to the MML conferences, there's a lot of third-class cities that do swear by the flock cameras, and then, there's people that have, privacy issues as well, so.
Well, like I said, they purposely take the rear of the vehicle so you can't see any of the occupants in the car. I can't put in there being driven by a Hispanic male or anything. That's not going to do that. It only takes a picture of the back of the car.
Just the license plate area.
Pardon me?
Just the license plate area.
Just the license plate and the car itself
Yeah, I
for
was
a
gonna say,
description of the
you
car.
can, you could put on a sticker that was on there.
Yeah,
that would
I
hit
mean, if we
stickers
have,
and
it's a white Ford Taurus that has a bumper sticker in the back window, we can put that in there and it will identify
And
all of those that come
If
through
you
our city.
didn't know license plate numbers, but you could put in there, right, to search for like a certain color car, or certain make.
Right, or if you have a
something like that,
partial
that's-
license plate, somebody tells us, I just got robbed, they got into a red Ford pickup truck, and two of the letters in the license plate were G and L. We put that in the computer, and every vehicle matching that description that drives past the flock camera, after we put it in there, we'd be able to trace them that way.
How quickly does that get back to you guys? Like if
Immediately. If we have to enter it into the computer.
Right.
But as soon as it goes past, it'll come up on our guys' our computers in their cars or
Interesting.
at their desk. So it's an immediate, it's the latest
So
thing in law
what would it
enforcement.
take then, for the city to enter into an agreement to
Well, see,
install
that's the
that
thing.
system?
Like, for instance, Walmart will pay for 2 of those. But Walmart can't sign the contract saying that they will have them for this year. The city, myself particularly, has to say, we will pay for these for the year. Now, Walmart will pay it, but if they don't pay it, then it's on the city. And it is $3,000 a year per camera.
So you
It's
would
not
have
the
to go
cheapest thing in the world, but there are grants out there, and if I can get a go-ahead, I can apply for grants. The county has, every one of their cameras are paid for through a grant through the state of Missouri. So,
And the county's had this system for several years now.
yes, they have.
Yep.
And it's been, since they've given us access, it's been, really helps us.
So, John, what's the path forward for council to give consideration to either going for grants or entering into a contract for the system, or what?
I mean, there's a couple of ways to go. Flock has offered to make a presentation at city council. So if it's just a matter of understanding more about how the system works, we could schedule that. They'd come in person. I guess we did it by teams, but I suspect
They would come in person for that, city council.
It's not difficult to execute the agreement with them, so council would have to, approve by resolution, and I think the point the chief's making is, we would hope to have MOUs with various businesses that would sponsor, but that's not a guarantee, that's not a contract, and so, the city's gonna have to understand if they're gonna put in 10 of these, it's, 30,000 hours a year, and, that needs to be factored in as well, so, it's really up to council. The
Even if you
mayor had a
didn't
lot
have-
of questions about it, so we really started off with a presentation with him about 2 weeks ago. If council would like to have that same presentation, I think that might be the next best step. And then they'll explain kind of their process of signing up entities. Flock is a private company, and it's AI-driven, and it's across the country, and it's becoming very, very powerful. Its effect is significant in law enforcement. I don't think there's any denying that. There've been a couple of cases of abuses, sort of internal access to this information for selfish purposes. I'm not saying it's a big brother issue that I just think we ought to fully understand sort of all the pros and cons with it, so.
So Chief, would they be willing to come down and give a presentation to council, say like the first meeting in March?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So, I would recommend that maybe John and the mayor put together whatever your presentation, like if you could just give us a summary to know more before we go.
We've got their
set-
PowerPoint presentation they sent to us, so we could submit that to council and, kind of review
Yeah,
from that.
before we go setting up any kind of sales pitch coming or anything like that, I think.
Chief, would this, I know, like I asked you before, the council, or the county has had a relationship with Flock for several years now.
Yes.
Would the city going into a relationship affect anything that they're already doing?
No, not at all. In fact, I would say that we would give them access to our cameras, but once you're a member, you have access to every camera across the United States. So it would only increase in the city of Rolla. And it is the latest and greatest thing in law enforcement. There's no doubt about that.
So let's bring back, and I think that's what Megan and maybe even Bill are suggesting, that we just maybe bring back the information from Flock, not necessarily schedule because it is a bit of a sales pitch. I mean, they are
yeah,
trying to
it's
promote
no
their
doubt about
services.
that.
So we tend not to do that often at council meetings, but we could certainly share the PowerPoint information that they had. We had a series of questions that we asked of them, and we can bring that all back to council. So
Yeah,
that might be the next
Just sending it
step.
out to us, and then we can go from there.
I wouldn't do it here, but if anybody asked, I could give you some real time. This is what we have solved with the flock camera. Like Nathan said, I'm not going to do it here in public, but. All right?
Chief,
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I have an announcement I'd like to make. I put some flyers up here, and we have them in the lobby as well. The Rolla Public Library, Missouri Humanities, Missouri S&T Archives, the State Historical Society of Missouri, the Phelps County Historical Society, and Rolla Art Space Transformative Alliance are collaborating to offer some exciting programming this February focused on Black history in both Rolla and Missouri. On Thursday, these are on Thursday nights. On Thursday, February 6th, Missouri Humanities storyteller and educator Carol Shelton will be presenting Portraits of African American Women in Missouri, Harriet Scott and Marie Rogers Martin, at the Phelps County Courthouse Multipurpose Room from 6 to 8. On Thursday, February 13th, Dr. Gregg, Curator's Distinguished Teaching Professor Emeritus of History at S&T, will be presenting Inez Parker Griggs and the Rolla community at the Curtis Law Wilson Library, second floor, from 6 to 7. On Thursday, February 27th, there'll be an open house at the Old Lincoln School, currently Community of Christ Church, 102 South Pine Street, featuring a historic slideshow from noon to 6. The Lincoln School was originally a one-room schoolhouse serving Rolla's Black community. For the entire month of February, there will be an exhibit at the Rolla Public Library from the State Historical Society of Missouri entitled African American Heritage in the Ozarks. These brochures can be found right up in the lobby, and I have a couple out here as well.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you, Tina.
Can I say one thing? I just wanted to mention.
Come on back, Chief.
I just want to say, for those of you that don't know it, we have a Narcan machine in the lobby of our police department. It's free to anybody who wants Narcan. We have got our overdose deaths down to 2 this year.
Saw
And that
that.
is because we are flooding the market with Narcan. It's free. All you have to do is walk up to the window, ask for a coupon. You put the coupon in as you would money, and you get a box with 2 Narcans in it. It's great if you have a family member you're worried about, and it's free. So we just completely restocked it. We pretty much have an unlimited supply from the health department, so if anybody needs it, it's there. Like I said, it's for free, so.
So, Chief, a couple of years ago, you talked about this, and not that, but the Narcan, and you said that, there was a limited supply, and there was going to be a time that you could run out, and so on and so forth. So is there a new program that came out, or
Well,
what
they
happened?
just really started manufacturing it and distributing it. I mean, they came to me and asked if I would put this in my lobby. And of course, I said yes.
Yeah.
S&T has one in their lobby, and it's like a big, huge soda machine. You just put your little coupon in there, you click, A7 or whichever one you want, and it drops down with a box of 2 of them in there. And like I said, it's free, and it's great for people, say for instance, you have a kid that you're, one of your siblings, or you have a kid that's addicted, it's good to have in the house.
But Chief, I think what's really happened is the opioid settlement that provided tremendous funds to the state of
Oh,
Missouri.
I gotcha. That's
And it's
what I was-
working its
yeah.
way down. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's really the game changer, because it wasn't probably 5 or 6 years ago where
we were
Phelps
having
Health
trouble
was
getting
talking
for our
about possibly
office.
dropping
Yes.
it, and we were looking at buying it.
So you said the vending machine, you said A7. What's A1 through 6?
Same thing, I'm just saying, you gotta put in just like a
Just
vending
curious,
machine,
yeah.
so.
You need a
Thank
letter
you.
than a number.
It's amazing, we just called the number and said, we're getting low, and we got a box, we got enough Narcan to fill that thing 6 times if we have to, so. And it's free, so if anybody needs it, anybody out there in the public that needs it, just come on in. We usually have the coupons in a little envelope right there, but at night, we have to put them out one at a time because one person came in there and probably got 20 boxes out of our machine, and that's not the purpose of it. The purpose of it is to give everybody at least 2, which usually takes care of the problem if you have it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thanks.
Chief, so that's great information, but it's not solving the problem, so we need to keep on giving you the tools to get the stuff off the streets, so we don't need as much Narcan. Thank you, though.
Back to the display, I just want to say that little arch section that goes from the children's library into the main library has a really nice display in it. If you haven't been able to go and see that, it's pretty nice for the emphasis for February.
Anybody else? Great meeting tonight. So our next meeting is on Tuesday. Next one is on a Tuesday, which is not the normal, but February the 18th.
Got a President's Day in there.
That's right. That's right. So if we don't have anything else,
Motion to adjourn.
there you go. That's what I wanted to hear.
Second.